Sometimes the people in charge hide the darkest secrets. In a quiet suburban neighborhood where everything looked perfect on the outside, one man uncovered something so disturbing it would shake the entire community to its core. A tunnel, a hidden passage, a secret that connected the HOA president's basement directly into his own backyard. And what that tunnel was used for, nobody could have imagined. Daniel Reed wasn't a troublemaker. He was 34, a hardworking father of two, married to his college sweetheart, Sarah. He'd spent his early life moving from one cramped apartment to the next, always dreaming of the day he'd give his children something better, stability, safety, and a home to be proud of. When he bought their house in Maplewood Estates, he thought he'd finally found it. The brochures painted the neighborhood as a sanctuary for families. Gated entrance, tree-lined streets, community barbecues, everything about it promised peace, harmony, and rising property values. And at first, it lived up to the promise. His kids loved riding their bikes around the cul-de-sac. Sarah decorated the porch with flowers and spent evenings chatting with other moms on the block. Daniel worked from his upstairs office, enjoying the quiet hum of suburban life. For once, it felt like he was living the dream. But dreams in Maplewood Estates came with a guardian, and her name was Margaret Hill. Margaret wasn't just the HOA president, she was the queen of the neighborhood. Late 50s, sharp eyes behind rectangular glasses, hair always pinned back in a severe bun. She wore pressed suits even on weekends and carried a clipboard like a sword. Nothing escaped her notice. Trash bins left out past pickup day? Fine. Paint color a shade off from approved tones? Warning letter. Even children's toys left visible on porches drew her wrath. She wasn't just enforcing rules. She was enforcing control. Daniel had heard the stories when they moved in. How she fined one family for hanging Christmas lights too early, or how she forced another to repaint their door because the shade of red wasn't on the approved palette. But he brushed it off. He figured if he kept his head down, followed the rules, and stayed polite, she'd have no reason to bother him. And for a while that strategy worked. But then, little things began to happen. It started with things going missing. His daughter's pink bicycle vanished overnight, despite being left right by the porch. A set of garden tools disappeared after he spent a weekend working on the backyard. A bag of charcoal he'd bought for grilling, gone. At first, Daniel blamed himself. Maybe the kids left the bike at a friend's house. Maybe he misplaced the tools. But the frequency was strange. Too consistent. Then came the nights. Their golden retriever Max began barking furiously at the same corner of the backyard, night after night. Not just once, but always around the same time, always toward the same patch of soil near the fence line. Daniel assumed it was raccoons or stray cats, but Max wasn't scared. He was guarding. His growls were low, guttural, protective. One night, Daniel couldn't take it anymore. After tucking the kids into bed, he grabbed a flashlight and headed outside. The air was cool, crickets buzzing loudly in the dark. He walked to the corner where Max barked, shining the beam on the ground. The soil looked wrong, disturbed, looser than the rest of the yard. Daniel pressed his foot against it. The earth shifted, sinking slightly. His pulse quickened. Dropping to his knees, he brushed away the dirt. What he uncovered wasn't just a hole, it was an opening. Shining his flashlight inside, his breath caught in his throat. This wasn't an animal burrow. Wooden beams reinforced the walls, bricks lined the edges. This was structured, built, purposeful. Against every instinct screaming at him to stop, Daniel climbed in. The air was damp, smelling of earth and mildew. His footsteps echoed softly as he crept along the passage, heart hammering in his chest. The tunnel stretched farther than he imagined, curving slightly underground until he came face to face with a heavy wooden door. His hand trembled as he pushed it open, and what he saw nearly made his knees buckle. It was a finished basement, not abandoned, not forgotten, perfectly organized. Shelves lined with boxes, a wine rack in the corner, a desk stacked with papers, and on the far wall, pinned photos of neighbors, their houses, their families, notes scrawled beneath each one documenting routines. Children play outside between 4 to 6, wife often home alone Tuesdays, husband works late in office at night. Daniel's own family had a folder, detailed notes, observations. His heart pounded as he realized this wasn't curiosity, it wasn't nosiness, it was surveillance. Slowly he turned, and there it was, a framed portrait on the wall, Margaret Hill. The tunnel led directly into the HOA president's basement. Daniel scrambled out of the tunnel, covered the opening with dirt, and stumbled back into his house, his hands shaking uncontrollably. He barely slept that night. The image of those photos, the notes about Sarah, his kids, played over and over in his mind. Why was she doing this? How long had it been going on? The next morning he tried to act normal. He walked out to get the newspaper, forcing calm into his steps. But standing by her mailbox as if waiting for him was Margaret. She smiled thinly. "Lovely morning, isn't it, Mr. Reed?" Her words were polite, but her eyes told a different story. She knew he had been down there. And then the retaliation began. Within days, he received a fine for unapproved lawn ornaments. He didn't have any. Then a warning for excessive noise after his kids played tag in the yard. A notice about his porch light being too bright, violating community standards, each one signed by Margaret Hill. It wasn't rule enforcement, it was punishment. A message, stay silent or I'll make your life miserable. Daniel confided in Sarah. She was horrified, begging him to go to the police. But Daniel hesitated. Who would believe him? A secret tunnel under the HOA president's house? It sounded ridiculous, like something out of a thriller movie. Without proof, it was just his word against hers. So Daniel decided to get evidence. He installed hidden cameras, one in the backyard, another near the disturbed soil. For days, nothing happened. His nerves were stretched thin, every night waiting for movement. And then, at 2 a.m., the cameras caught it. The basement door creaked open. A shadow emerged. Margaret Hill herself. She crawled out of the tunnel, flashlight in hand, dressed in black. She crept across Daniel's yard, crouched by his trash cans, and inspected them carefully before slipping back underground. When Daniel reviewed the footage, his stomach churned. This wasn't paranoia, this was real. She wasn't just spying, she was actively searching, hunting, gathering information. And if she had a file on his family, how many others did she have? He couldn't stay quiet anymore. He reached out to Angela Cortez, a local investigative reporter known for exposing corruption. When Angela saw the footage and the notes, she leaned back in her chair, stunned. "This isn't just HOA abuse," she said. "This is criminal." Together, they planned a sting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Angela and her crew set up hidden cameras and floodlights around Daniel's yard. The plan was simple: catch Margaret in the act and expose her. For hours, they waited in silence. Midnight passed, 1 a.m., then 2. Daniel sat inside, heart pounding, pretending to be asleep while Angela and her team watched from the shadows. Then, creak, the basement door. Margaret emerged, flashlight in hand, crawling out of the tunnel with eerie confidence. She moved across Daniel's yard like she had done it 100 times before. But this time, the trap was waiting. Floodlights roared to life. Reporters surged forward. Cameras flashed. Angela shoved a microphone into Margaret's face. "Mrs. Hill, care to explain why you're trespassing through a secret tunnel into your neighbor's property?" For the first time, Margaret's icy composure cracked. She stammered, denied, tried to retreat back into the tunnel. But Daniel was already there, blocking her way. She lashed out desperately, shouting about protecting the community and maintaining order. But her words sounded unhinged, desperate, exposed. The footage aired the next morning. HOA president caught using secret tunnel to spy on neighbors. The story went viral instantly. Social media exploded. Neighbors who had been too afraid to speak up finally told their own stories. Missing items, strange noises, unexplained finds. The police launched a full investigation. Margaret Hill was arrested on charges of trespassing, stalking, and harassment. Her carefully built empire crumbled overnight. The HOA board dissolved under scandal. For the first time in years, Maplewood Estates felt free. Daniel stood outside his home as crews filled the tunnel with cement, sealing it forever. His kids clung to his side, Sarah holding his hand. For the first time in months, he felt safe. The neighborhood voted to rebuild the association, this time with transparency, shared leadership, and strict term limits. No single person would ever wield that much unchecked power again. But even as Daniel tucked his children into bed, one thought haunted him. If Margaret had built one tunnel, could there be others? Don't forget to like and subscribe.